Hello everyone, I just thought I'd show you a little bit about my setup, what goes into training. I'll talk a little bit more about heart rate training and training zones when I get on the bike, do a session in a moment. But I'll just show you this current setup I've got and then I'll talk you through a little bit more. So this is my current garage, training room, whatever you want to call it. I've got my training bike there. Just jump straight onto that. There's my TV, my fans at the ready, heart rate monitor, everything. Outdoor bike hanging up, got my tools, everything set up here for all the maintenance jobs I need to do. And then in the middle we have the resistance bench with a few different kind of weights, a barbell there, and a set up there which I'll talk through when I talk a bit more about resistance training, hanging bar, everything. But we're going to do a bit on the bike today, so I'll jump on and then we'll talk you through a bit more about heart rate training. Hi there, so you join me just as I'm about to start my ride. Okay, I'm just going to do a nice easy low heart rate ride today. I've got my screens on and I'm on my Whoosh at the moment. You can do it on Zwift or Ruby, whichever platforms you're on. This is my usual setup indoors. Just going to take it nice and easy. Yes, I have got my heart rate monitor on, but I'll just be using that for afterwards. I don't use it to look at, to gauge my efforts. I just use it, like I said to you before in the running video, use your own perceived effort to work out your zones. Your heart rate zones and your training zones are far better done on perceived effort than they are on numbers. Once I've finished this workout, I'll talk to you a bit more about how to get your numbers, if you want your numbers, if you want to go by numbers, but it is far better not to be able to go by numbers. It's far better to go on a perceived effort if you're looking to train to heart rate. Now, I know some people train to power as well, which we can talk about power in another video, but today we just want to talk about heart rate, your perceived heart rate, how hard you're working. All I'm doing on here today, like I say, is a nice zone 2 workout, nice and easy, just take it steady. Once I've done the workout, I'll check back in with you. Yeah, so done. Workout done. Okay, it was nice, easy. Zone 2, just shy of an hour. So it didn't really take much exertion out of me. What I really want to get across to you is that when you're using your training zones or when you're using heart rate for training, to use your perceived heart rate or to use your perceived effort rather than to use numbers, because numbers will vary for everybody. There are calculations out there that you can do with numbers, such as people will say you can find your maximum heart rate using the equation of 220 minus your age, which has been well documented in the past. Also, a quick calculation of 180 using the maximum of 180 minus your age can also be a ballpark figure for your zone 2. So if you're looking for what sort of area your heart rate should be in when you're working at a nice low intensity, use the calculation 180 minus your age. But again, it's very subjective. It's going to be totally different for a beginner to an advanced athlete. Those numbers are going to be totally different for different people. So the best thing to do is to do everything you possibly can training wise on perceived effort, and then check out your own numbers as you go. Get a heart rate monitor, get a good heart rate monitor, one that goes across your chest, or you can get good ones that go on your arm nowadays. Wrist-based ones tend not to be as accurate, but if you're using it all the time and it's giving you the same data, then not a problem. Whichever one you stick with, don't interchange in between wrist and then chest, and they'll give you different readings. So whichever one you go with, stick with it. And then if you can get your perceived effort, so your perceived zone 2 and your perceived high intense workouts like zone 4, zone 5, then that should correlate with your heart rate data that you are collecting. Now, you're going to need to collect your heart rate data over the course of a month, 2 months, to really see where your zones will lie. Some athletes will report that, I don't know what my zone 2 is. So I'll say, well, your zone 2 is your easy effort. You should be able to talk and you should be able to do plenty of sentences without chopping them up, without putting commas and full stops in there, when you're working nice and easy at a zone 2 level. So whether you're running, biking, whether you're working hard in the gym, whether you're doing yoga, Pilates, whatever it is that you are doing, you should be able to talk full sentences without chopping them up, being short of breath. That is your zone 2. Now, if you are wearing a heart rate strap and you're recording your heart rate, then you can look back on that and that will give you your number. That is the best way to find your zone 2 heart rate number. No calculations, anything. Like I say, you can use the calculations, but the best way to do it is to get your own specific data for you. So similarly to that, carrying on from that, is to find your high intensity numbers. And then somewhere in the middle will be your zone 3, zone 4 numbers, your threshold numbers. So high intensity numbers are when you are absolutely flat out doing a sprint, whether that be on the bike, you can be sprinting, you can be doing a high intensity hill sprint, you can be sprinting outdoors, you can really be working hard and basically feel your heart pumping in your chest. And this is your maximum. This is your zone 5. This is where your high intense work is. And again, wearing your heart rate monitor, you can then see, and you've record your data. There's plenty of platforms that you can record your data on now. You can see what your high zone 5 is, whether that be 170, 180s, 190s in some people. Everybody's going to be different in how high their heart rate goes when they're working at their high intensity level. So from those two extremes, your low zone 2 to your high intensity zone 5, you can then work out whereabouts in the middle your threshold will be. Again, if you really want to refine it down, then go out, test it, be on the bike, be on a run, be doing a class, be doing some weight training in the gym, wearing your heart rate monitor, and your threshold levels in zone 3 and zone 4 are going to be when you can talk, you are working at a moderate intensity, but your sentences are not fluid. You will probably chop them up, put commas in where they don't need to be. Your heart's not pumping out of your chest, but around that level is going to be your threshold level. For myself, I can say it's somewhere between the 150 to 160. When I'm working, my heart rate's working between 150 and 160. I know I'm in my threshold, and I know I'm working harder than low intensity, but not as hard as high intensity. So that's how you work out your zones. It's the easiest way and the best way to work out your own personal heart rate training zones.